Hello and welcome to Talk with Maria, where we go deep into conversations that heal, inspire, and empower. Today we are touching on a topic that affects millions of families, the cancer journey. And most importantly, we'll talk about the people who stand beside the patients, caregivers, family members, home health aides, and loved ones. Joining me in this incredible journey is Dr. Tiffany Troso, a double board certified oncologist, author of the upcoming book, Winning the Cancer Journey, and a guiding light for women facing cancer. Dr. Troso, congratulations and thank you for coming today. It is a heartfelt pleasure to have you here. So many people talk about cancer, the big C as it's dubbed. Tell us about your journey as a doctor.
Thank you. When I was in college, I went to Princeton and I was in molecular biology. Sounds really fancy, right? But it's funny now, I have kids that are just finishing up college themselves. And the things that I learned back in the day are like basic information now, and it was so cutting edge, but I loved the science.
Yes.
So then I went to medical school.
You look like you love science.
I love science. I love science, but I also love people. I love talking to people and helping people.
Yes.
I loved in medical school interacting with patients, really getting to know them. And I've really found that oncology itself lent itself well to both the love of the science as well as my desire to really help people that needed help.
Wow.
And so it was, and then I subspecialized with women because I love women. I love interacting with other women, empowering other women, and helping them. Yeah.
Yes. So as a child, did you think you would be an oncologist?
No, I didn't even know what an oncologist was. But I can tell you that when I was a little girl, my grandmother, my mom's mom, had thyroid cancer.
Oh, wow.
And back in the day, they used to, I guess this was in the 40s or 50s, they used to do radiation for sore throats. Can you imagine? And the sore throat radiation led to a cancer in the thyroid many, many years later. So I was little and I was sitting in the back of my mom's Pontiac, which had red pleather seats.
Yes.
And I remember sitting in the parking lot while my mom would take my grandmother in for radiation therapy. And my mom would come out in the car and she would just sob. And a lot of it came from the fact that nobody wanted to talk to her. Nobody wanted to tell her really what was going on, what was the prognosis. She wasn't getting straight answers.
Right.
And she couldn't find the doctor half the time to speak to them. So that definitely played an effect on me in terms of how I developed in wanting to help other people.
Right.
And once I got to medical school, I knew that I wanted to be the type of doctor that didn't make somebody like my mom cry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So much different, because a lot of times in our understanding to figure where we're going with a diagnosis, you want to talk to someone that has specialized in that format.
Yep.
And sometimes doctors are either too busy,
Yep.
they're not giving you the right time
Yep.
or the right understanding. And of course, they've got so many other patients to take care of. But having a doctor that sits with you, tell me about, so I love to hear about your Princeton journey. So you're in Princeton, you're thinking about all these sciences. How do you play? I mean, the stethoscope must be, the telescope must be your best friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes and no. Believe it or not, the way that science is going these days, that so much of what we do as physicians, we still use our stethoscope. I listen to patients' hearts and lungs and bellies if I need to. But in general, you'd be amazed at how much we are doing now based on just scan reports, blood work, DNA analysis. So much of the medicine has now moved out of just the general practitioner type of thing. Don't get me wrong, if a patient has a lump or a lymph node that's enlarged, I mean, we act on that as well, but we do depend a lot on the testing that we do.
I love the fact that many, many years ago, I decided to do 23andMe. I love the fact that those scientists got together and just put that whole variant and just understanding. You can, it's like endless reading. You can't come to an end of what the things you can learn about yourself and where you came from and all that good stuff. But the science behind it is just amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And believe it or not, we also can now do DNA analysis of the tumors themselves. So there's a couple different types of DNA. One is genetic, the hereditary DNA, which is what you did with the 23andMe. Usually you do a swab inside your cheek, or you can do blood. And then the other thing that we do now is we take a piece of the tumor, which they're stored in the pathology department in the hospital. We take a piece of that tumor, they grind it down to the DNA, and they run the same type of analysis.
You're kidding.
And they can actually now map out of 400, 500, 600 different genes that we know cause cancer, we can get a readout of what genes are abnormal and which are not.
You must be kidding me.
Brave new world. It's changing medicine.
Oh my God, and you sound like you're keeping right up with the whole medicine.
Of course.
So a lot of people think, oh, I'm an oncologist. Tell me what makes up an oncologist.
I think what I'd like to tell you about is what being an oncologist means to me.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that being an oncologist means somebody that is helping a patient in one of the most vulnerable times of their lives with a potentially life-threatening disease and all of the other things that come with it. And so I often will talk about how patients need to make sure that they take care of themselves. The other side of caregiving are the peoples that are helping to take care of the patient themselves, right? So those caregivers also have their own set of needs and require support as well.
Yes, definitely.
So I often tell my patients, especially the women that I can tell are so obsessed with, my son, my mom's sick, and I have to, my husband this, I've sat down with patients and taken my prescription pad and written on it for them, you come first. Right. Now, I'll sign it, I'll give it to the patient, I'll say,
this is your prescription.
This is what you need to do right now, because if we don't get you better, there's no caregiving for anybody else.
Right. Now you've graduated Princeton. What did you do after that?
So after I graduated from Princeton, I took a year off because I wasn't sure I was going to medical school at that point. I actually lived in the city, and I worked at Cornell Medical School. I worked in a laboratory, and I did research, and I published a couple papers, and I applied to medical school.
Wow.
But it was cool. That 1 year, I didn't have any homework to do.
Oh my goodness, I can imagine.
Right?
Homework free.
Homework free.
Yes.
I got to go to the gym.
You must have partied like a rock star.
Oh, well, my kids might be watching this. So no, I was studying all the time.
She studied.
So it was a wonderful, very fun year, and then off to medical school I go. But what's funny, the day before I graduated from medical school, guess what I did? I got married.
You got married. Tell me, to another doctor.
I did. I met him during medical rotation.
Wow.
He was my resident.
Oh, sweet.
Has a little Grey's Anatomy to it.
That's all right. All right. Listen. That was wonderful. We're going to hear all about a wonderful doctor and who she got married to. We have to take a quick break. When we return, we will hear more from Dr. Tiffany Troso. Welcome back to Talk with Maria. Today we are touching on a topic that affects millions of families, the cancer journey, with Dr. Tiffany Troso. Dr. Tiffany, if I looked at you and I did not know what you did, I would say you'd be a doctor.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, it's pretty funny though, because a lot of times, I guess I've aged now, but a lot of times I would walk into the room and the patients would say, "Is the doctor coming in soon?" I'm like, "I'm here."
How cute.
Yeah, so.
Tell me about your husband.
Oh.
Another doctor you met along the way.
He's
right?
So Estuardo Sandoval is from Guatemala.
Nice.
And my kids are all bilingual.
Very sweet.
I have 3 children. And Estuardo and I met while I was a third year medical student in my OBGYN residency, OBGYN medical rotation. So I was still just a medical student, and they sent us off into the suburbs, into the boroughs, to non-private hospitals so that we could actually learn how to do birthing and deliveries and what have you. So I march into this room, fancy little white coat from Cornell University Medical College, thinking I'm all that. And some nurse, I'm asking her a question. She's like, "Get out of my way," and blah, 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 and I'm not saying this. I was probably in the way. I was a precocious, little white girl walking in, thinking I know everything with this beautiful little white coat on, right?
From Cornell, no less.
Right, and she's like, "Bap, bap, bap." I was like, "Oh." So into the bathroom or to the back restroom I go, and I'm crying. And he comes in and he goes, I'll take care of you. Stay with me. I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh, Prince Charming.
Right,
Then we went on a
right
date a
with
couple
you.
months later. And then,
How
yeah.
cute.
Isn't that cute?
And you're still married?
And we're
three
still
children,
married.
Thank God.
Yep, yep.
Yes. And what kind of doctor is he?
He's an OBGYN.
Nice.
Yep, yep.
I often wonder how a man decides to be, I'll be an OBGYN. But that's cute. You must have a lot of stories to exchange, pillow talk.
Yeah, I guess. Actually, one of the
Yes.
funniest stories I can tell you about is we belonged to a club at the beach, and my husband would always have his, journals, his,
Yes.
OBGYN journals or something,
course.
and he would come in and, read it and just throw it down on the paper, right?
Right.
And my mother would march in, and there's some picture, some graphic of somebody's,
Yes.
you-know-what.
Right.
And my mother was like, "What are you reading?" I'm
Right.
like, "Well, he's a gynecologist, Mom."
Yes. He's a gynecologist.
So anyway,
yes.
we had him stop bringing his journals to public
Right,
places
yes,
anymore because
right.
it didn't really go over well with others.
God, I can imagine, especially in a club on the beach.
Funny.
Wow. How do people get cancer?
That's a $1 million question.
Yes, it is.
$1 million question. So, basically everything that happens in your body is going to be a combination of genetics and interaction with the environment. And the two of them interplay.
Right.
And I often explain that if our immune system didn't work as well as it did, we would probably be complete tumors because the number of times that the DNA needs to replicate, every time a cell divides, it needs to replicate its DNA. And so there are millions and billions of chances every day for a tumor to form because the cell makes a mistake. And if it makes the wrong mistake, it just can grow. And the question is, where do we intervene to help prevent it from happening?
Right.
There's a lot of theories now about inflammation in your body,
Right.
leading to increased risks of cancer. There's a lot of toxins in our environment. I'm sure you've heard about all the microplastics that are out there now.
Yes.
How
So
we're,
you just moved back to the hills.
well, yeah, I just had to clean out all of the Tupperware in my kitchen.
Right. I
And the
hate
plastic
Tupperware.
cutting boards,
Yes.
off they go.
I don't like anything plastic.
No more plastic.
People with cancer that is looking for cures, because some people survive without taking chemo. Some people survive with chemo. I understand there are chemo pills. And of course, some people never make it out. And then, of course, trial and error with all these, the chemo dosage.
Yeah, there are a lot of side effects, and some of those side effects are not necessarily from chemotherapy because we have a lot of other agents that we're using now. It's been the last 10 years has been remarkable in terms of developments and advances in the treatment of cancer. We're treating it much more specialized now, much more personalized type cancer treatments. So remember I was talking about how we look at the DNA of the tumor.
Yes.
And if we see that there's something wrong in gene X, we may have a drug that targets gene X. And then there's all that immunotherapy that helps stimulate your own immune system to kill the cancer as well. So it's not all about just chemotherapy anymore. It's really amazing.
It's a very customized understanding that's being approached at the moment.
Absolutely.
I like that. And if someone would like to get treatment for cancer, where do you suggest that they would go?
At this point in time, I'm doing second opinions, and
Yes,
I do second opinions, and I do them virtually, so I do them wherever you are.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think this is a whole other topic, but I think getting a second opinion is really, really important for patients. Sometimes it helps them to clarify their plan.
Right.
Sometimes it helps them to understand things better.
Right.
And sometimes
I like
you
that
pick up
idea.
abnormalities or things that you don't necessarily agree with. And I wouldn't tell the patient that the doctor's doing something wrong. It's really important for the doctors to collaborate.
Correct.
Because it makes the patient feel
Yes.
worse if you don't. I'm not helping
Right.
you if I tell you your doctor's doing it wrong.
Yes.
So I often will call the other physician and say, I agree with your plan. In my practice, I've done X, Y, Z. Sometimes I find it works a little bit better if you try this. And you have a cordial, collaborative conversation.
Yes. Which, of course, is all in the
Right.
health of the patient.
Of course.
One can call you directly.
Yes.
Wow.
winningthecancerjourney.com.
We have to take a quick break. When we return, we'll hear more from Dr. Tiffany Troso. Welcome back to Talk with Maria. We are talking with Dr. Tiffany Troso, a double board certified oncologist, author of the upcoming Winning the Cancer Journey and a guiding light for women facing cancer. When you say you're a board certified, but then a double board, let's emphasize on that double.
So to become a doctor,
Yes.
you do medical school, obviously.
Right.
And you graduate with an MD.
And
But
a
then,
husband.
And well, sometimes with a husband. And then you go and you do your residency. And that's
Right.
usually in something primary care, internal medicine, surgery, OBGYN. And then as you finish that, you have to take your board certification. So I'm board certified in internal medicine, which
Wow.
is regular
Yes.
medicine, right? Everybody, adult people medicine. And then you do a fellowship. So a fellowship is, I did in medical oncology. And so then you have to take the board exam in that. And
Wow.
then every couple of years, you have to take a big exam to make sure that you're still up to date on everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that certifies you to be a good oncologist.
Well, it certifies you on paper to be a good oncologist.
Right.
I think being a good oncologist also has a lot to do with your heart, your soul, your passion, and your ability to relate to people.
Rightfully so. In your career, how many patients have you cared for?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was at Memorial Sloan Kettering for 25 years.
Stop it. You look like 25.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, and we would see patients sometimes 4 or sometimes 3 days a week. I would see probably on average about 60 patients a week. So multiply that times
25 years.
25 years. So thousands and
Wow.
thousands. And I subspecialize in breast and gynecological cancers. So
What's the difference in trying to treat one tumor against the other?
a breast cancer cell is not the same as an ovarian cancer cell or a colon cancer cell. They're very different, and they developed mostly differently as well.
Wow.
But in general, the protocols for each type of cancer are separate, right? So that you treat a breast cancer relatively differently at this point in time than you do another type of cancer. You know, the thing is, I just want to clarify it for your audience, because some people don't know this. So if you had, God forbid, a breast cancer and it metastasized or spread to the lung, that's not lung cancer. That's breast cancer that has spread to the lung. And so a lot of people don't know that.
How soon or how often do you suggest that people get testing?
In general, we're recommending women to all get mammograms, right, every year.
Right.
And usually starting at the age of 45. If you're higher risk, your mother had cancer, your sister had cancer, you're going to start a little bit earlier.
That's where the DNA comes in.
Yeah, that's when the genetic testing comes in, sure.
I think everybody should start doing genetic testing, just for the heck of it.
Well, it's not universally covered right now. For example, in ovarian cancer, it's standard of care.
Right.
Because it's so well known that there are some very important drugs that we need to utilize for patients that have specific genetic cancers, such as PARP inhibitors. We use PARP inhibitors as a pill that targets the BRCA gene. BRCA gene is one of the most commonly seen genes that are abnormal. There's a BRCA1 and a BRCA2, and they're commonly abnormal in patients that have breast cancer and or ovarian cancer.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we have special drugs that we use particularly in those types of patients, and they need to be monitored and managed in a specific way because of their risk.
Do you educate patients online? Do you have a website that you educate, or have a talk with Dr. Troso?
Yeah, I do. So I, right now I'm also creating a mailing list because of my book, but I am creating some online courses. There'll be documents, PDFs you can download.
Right.
You'll all talk about a topic on camera.
Right.
And then we'll have weekly question and answer sessions within the community, and I'll get on and I will answer all those questions.
So now you have all the Dianetics, you have the DNAs. Do you collab with a laboratory that you can get fast results?
So I think one of the reasons I was so exhausted by the time I retired was that I would work so hard to make sure that my patients always got the level of care that they should be getting in a timely fashion.
Right.
I mean, to the point where I'd be writing on the desk at the radiology department like, I need a CAT scan today. I know. And then I'd go home and I'd be like, but it's important, and you know, a lot of that has to do with advocating, right?
Right.
So you need to advocate for yourself, because a lot of times I want to say, for example, I'll tell the patient, you need a PET scan before you come to see me next time, and she's coming back to see me in 3 weeks, and then she'll go up to the front desk and they will schedule a PET scan, and they can't get one in before she's coming back to see me. So they just schedule it when they can get it for her, and then the patient comes back 3 weeks later to review the PET scan, and I don't have the PET scan. A lot of times the doctors have no idea about what's going on out there with the scheduling.
Right.
So unless you bring it to our attention, you know, for example, call my office, ask my nurse, ask my secretary, I couldn't get this PET scan, what else can I do?
Right. What's your next move? I'm anxious to hear.
So I retired from clinical medicine at the hospital. Well, retired.
Oh my God.
And I have started my own company.
Yes.
And right now it's called Winning the Cancer Journey. my major statement that I want to get out there is that you come first.
I agree.
You come first. I want every patient to know how to advocate for themselves. And that, in order to do that, you need education so that you understand what the doctor's talking about. You know the terminologies. And then you need to learn how to communicate and help to deal with your community.
Right.
This is your family, your friends,
yes,
your healthcare team.
Yes.
A lot of times patients don't ask for anything, or they're afraid to be a burden on anybody.
Well, they say I have cancer. You don't have anything unless you claim it. We have to take a quick break. Okay. When we return, we'll talk to Dr. Tiffany Troso about her book and how you can avoid certain things and in understanding a better knowledge of cancer. Welcome back to Talk with Maria. Today we are touching on a topic that affects millions of families, the cancer journey. Dr. Tiffany Troso is coming out with a book about winning the cancer journey. Dr. Troso, do you think that cancer would subside at all?
On its own?
On its own.
Not as far as we know. Well, remember I said earlier that...
Yes, environmental plus.
Yeah, but that, our immune system does help get rid of quite a bit of it.
Yes.
And I can say that if you get cancer, especially certain types of cancer, the new targeted therapy and immunotherapy that we have is remarkable. I had several patients that would come to my clinic with stage 4 metastatic cancer. They were told by their last doctor that to go on hospice, and we gave them immunotherapy. At the time they were going on a clinical trial, gave them immunotherapy, and she's, 8 years later, walking and talking and just got married again, for example, one of my patients.
Oh, wow,
so, yeah.
That's beautiful.
So it's a different world now. I can't, when I say winning the cancer journey, I don't mean that I can cure everybody, but I can help you along your journey to help you get the best possible outcome in the best way.
What would you say to people that they should be aware of?
Well, the thing is that most cancers, if you're starting to have systemic symptoms from it, it's probably already fairly advanced.
I see.
So, I always talk about women should be just checking their breasts, making sure that they're doing the routine
breast
screening.
has always been the first topic
the
of
most
subject.
Common cancer with women.
Really?
And lung cancer, yes. So don't smoke.
Right.
Don't vape. Take care of yourself.
Heard the doctor said.
Yes, yes. So I'm saying that any lump that doesn't seem right, obviously needs to be investigated. You can't just wait for it to go away and hope that it's nothing.
Right.
Any persistent pain that won't go away. So I'm not saying every morning when you wake up if your lower back hurts that. But on the other hand, if it's new and it doesn't go away and it seems different than before, then a cough that won't go away, you cough up blood, you see black stool, blood in your stool. Unfortunately, I could list enough. I could list enough symptoms that I would probably make everybody's hair stand up. So I don't know that that's the best thing. I think the most important thing to say is that just know yourself and know your body.
Right.
And when something seems different, and
know
is persistent. Yeah.
I love the fact that you decided to do second opinions. Were you bored of first opinions?
No, not at all. I found that. So I was at a major medical institution, major cancer institution. And so a lot of the patients that we would see were second opinions. So that's something that was part of bread and butter of what I did.
Yes.
And I just feel like second opinions are the place where I can help the most. Because at the time of initial diagnosis, or God forbid, if the cancer comes back, it's recurred and they need treatment again, those 2 time points are the best times to get second opinions because it's a decision point.
Yes.
That's a point
and it's
where
something that DNA is spiking back in, or maybe an environmental, undertone
well,
that's
changing.
Maybe you need to change your address, get divorced, do something. Something to change that whole trajectory. My God. Have anything in the lab shocked you?
Really? Would you like to hear a really good story? A really good story. I had a woman who I'm still friendly with. She's lovely. She was a nurse practitioner and she developed a breast cancer and she was pregnant.
Wow.
She was already pregnant. And so she came to see me and it was, I think her son Joshua is like 17 now. So this was a long time ago.
yes.
And I
Sweet.
treated her with chemotherapy, and we had to elongate the protocol and do it slightly differently than we
Yes.
do somebody that's
that
not
had been in
pregnant.
yes.
We only gave her part of it first. Then we had to get her to 26, 27 weeks so that they could safely deliver the baby.
Wow.
And then at that point, they took her to surgery to take the lump out.
Oh, wow.
And then I finished her chemotherapy. And can I tell you, she comes every year with her son
Oh, how sweet.
to see me. I mean,
Oh, what a life-saving journey.
isn't that, I mean, I feel
Gotta
blessed.
put her in your book.
I feel blessed
Yes.
to have been in the position to help her.
Yes.
I feel
That's a
blessed to be able
miracle.
to be there. So,
Yes,
yeah.
God bless her.
Yeah, wonderful. And she's still a great physician.
Yes.
She's a nurse practitioner, actually.
Nice. Where are you going with this winning book?
Oh, my book.
Yes.
So my book
Tell me.
is a compilation of 25 years of experience of patients.
Wow.
So what I do in this book, it's written for lay people, not for
Yes.
doctors. It's written in regular people language. I'm trying to meet people where
Love
they
it.
are. And I talk about everything from the moment you feel like there's something wrong, the types of radiology that you need, the
Right.
types of blood tests, what a pathology report looks like, how to
That's so-
read
oh
it,
my.
the different types of doctors you're going to
No,
meet,
that's a good book.
all the way through. And
Yes.
in each chapter, I'm putting little vignettes of, they're unidentified, obviously,
Yes.
but patients' examples
Right.
to sort of explain what I'm telling you
So you
about
can see
in
a
that thing.
photo, you
Right.
can understand it.
I've been sitting on this book for a year,
Oh, wow.
and I finally
getting ready
decided,
to
you know
hatch.
what? I got to get this out there. People
Yes.
need this book.
I totally agree. People need this book. When are you planning to launch your book?
I'm hoping in the next 3 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
Please come back with the book.
I will.
We'd love to have. We want everyone to win the whole, trek of cancer.
Sure.
May God bless everyone that's out there. May you understand that you can call Dr. Troso to get an opinion. Give us your information. Give us
Sure.
the number that people can reach you.
So I have a phone number that you can text.
Oh,
And if you
nice.
text this number with the word cancer, you will get a link to sign up for my email list. And then you'll have the ability to ask me for whatever things that you are interested in talking to me about. Text the word cancer to 516-271-4114. If they need a referral, if they're looking for a second opinion, if they're looking to just get on my email list because I do tons of education.
Nice.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for coming on board with us today.
Thank you.
It's been an honor, and I hope that everyone can, if you have cancer, don't sit there and
No.
think that it's okay. Call Dr. Troso today. Call her. She's given you her number. Get on it. I hope you feel better soon. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's been such a pleasure,
Yes.
really. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me today on the Talk with Maria show. I hope you found our conversations informative and inspiring. Visit our website, talkwithmaria.com, for resources and information. Share your thoughts on social media, #TalkWithMaria. Until next time, stay healthy. Talk with Maria is made possible by, if you're passionate about helping others, become a certified home health aide with Home Health Aid Training Institute, 516-333-3689, or visit hhati.com. Experience the authentic taste of Italy in the heart of Westbury, Rialto Restaurant. Make your reservation at 516-997-5689. Brooklyn Boulevard Home Care. They care for you in the comfort of your own home. To schedule your care, call 718-683-8303.